activity relates to coordinate geometry. The objective of this activity is to obtain the mirror images of a given geometrical figure with respect to the x-axis and the y-axis. Let's study the concept in hand first. As you can see, we have the x-axis here labeled x, x dash, and y-axis labeled y, y dash. If we have to name the quadrants, this quadrant is the first quadrant, followed by moving anti-clockwise. This is the second quadrant. This is the third quadrant, and this one is the fourth quadrant. Whenever you consider any axis as a mirror and a point, suppose it lies in the first quadrant here, say point P. If you consider x-axis as the mirror, the point P will have its mirror image here in the fourth quadrant. Likewise, if you consider y as the mirror or y-axis as the mirror, then point P will have its mirror image here in the second quadrant. So likewise, if the point P lies in the second quadrant, then with respect to x, its mirror image will be in the third quadrant, and its mirror image in the y-axis will be in the first quadrant. Likewise, you can keep the point anywhere in the fourth quadrant and consider any axis as the mirror, you will get its mirror image. So for finding what shape we obtain when we mirror the geometrical shape around x-axis or y-axis, we need to perform this activity in which the material required is, obviously we need graph sheets because the points will be plotted on the Cartesian plane. We need pencil, colored pencils for convenience, eraser, and the standard, the geometrical instruments like ruler and the mirror. So if you keep a mirror with you, that will show you the exact image of the point. Let's see how we can perform this activity.
This is the activity on mirror images of points. As you can see, we have plotted this point A here on x-axis. This is 3, 0. It joins another point B here, and the coordinates of point B are 3, 1. Likewise, that joins point C. The coordinates are 2, 1. It joins point D. The coordinates of D are 2, 2. Likewise, we have point E 1, 2, and point F 1, 3, and then point G on the y-axis. This is 0, 3. All these points which are plotted now will be reflected along the y-axis. So this is reflection along y-axis. What do you do here? You need to fold this in such a way that the crease falls exactly on the y-axis like this. You can see. And now, the point where this point F falls on the other side will be your point F dash, and that is the mirror image of F on this quadrant, that is second quadrant, y-axis being the mirror. Likewise, you can see the point G dash remains the same. G and G dash overlap. The point E here becomes E dash here. So you can find the coordinates afterwards. Then point D becomes point D dash here. Point C becomes C dash, which is here. Point B becomes B dash, which is here. Point A becomes A dash, which is here. So we can actually find the coordinates of all these points which are reflected around the y-axis. The point A dash will be minus 3, 0. A was 3, 0. B dash will be minus 3, 1. C dash will be minus 2, 1. D dash will be minus 2 comma 2, E dash will be 1 comma, this is minus 1 comma 2, and then minus 1 comma 3 for F dash. Likewise, if in place of y-axis we have x-axis as the mirror, what happens then? You can see the same figure here. This was the original figure which was drawn. Now it will be reflected on the x-axis. So you have to fold it along the x-axis now like this, and the points will fall in the fourth quadrant. So the reflection of this point remains the same. That means the point remains unchanged even after reflection. This point, suppose P, will become point P dash here. So the coordinates of P were 1 comma, that's 3 comma 1. So P dash will be 3 comma minus 1. Likewise, this point Q was 2 comma 1. So it becomes 2 comma minus 1. Likewise, all these points R, S, T, U, they will be reflected. P becomes P dash, Q becomes Q dash, R becomes this point R dash, then this is S dash, this is T dash, and this is U dash. We can actually find all the coordinates of the reflections. This is how you can imagine that y-axis or x-axis, if it acts as a mirror, what will be the coordinates of the reflections of points which are originally plotted in first quadrant. So if y-axis is the mirror, then the point in the first quadrant moves to the point in the second quadrant. If x-axis is the mirror, then the point in first quadrant moves to fourth quadrant. And that completes this activity on mirror images.